Welcome to being incarnated on planet Earth. You are now gifted with the supernatural abilities because of our planet passing through a sector of the universe that activates God DNA within every man, woman, child. You are the new keeper of the flames of love. You are the keepers of supernatural powers when you invoke I am. And you are the gatekeeper of miracles every day and every way. I salute you in the spirit of Ubuntu. Ashe, Aho, Donada, Wado.
Out a call to the warrior in you, to the healer in you, the king, the queen, the magician, the lover in you. Every single day, we are called to walk in our purpose. Answer the call. Lay down your burden and anything that holds you back and take your rightful place. The battle is everywhere. It's right in your face. Let's go.
Welcome to magnets, crystals, and pyramids. Success is your destiny. Yes. Love, wisdom, power. Remember, yes, always who you are. Yes, yes, I am. Love, wisdom, power. Yes, yes, I am. Love, yes, power. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Love, wisdom, power. Yes, yes, I am. Love, wisdom, power. Master. Yes, I am. Yes, love, wisdom, power. Yes, I am. Say to yourself, yes, I am. Protected. Yes, I am. Master. I am. Yes.
Peace, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Moorish Monday with Abdullah Iltale Mosi Bey on Magnets Crystal Pyramids YouTube. I have a wonderful guest. I've heard about this brother several years ago. He's been doing great work in the community out in California. It's an honor to have him on this platform. Today's title is Moorish History, Black Mafia Tribe. We have Brother Crip Jesus, King Ill,
Yes, sir.
also known as Brother King Ill. So I'm going. So before I get started, across the screen you'll see my website, moorsandmasonry.org. To order my books, go to my website, moorsandmasonry.org. All right, so brother, we finally got you on.
Peace.
It's an honor, brother.
Man, gratitude.
All right.
Gratitude.
Yes, brother. So before you get into your PowerPoint presentation, do the screen sharing, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, off top, let me explain the name. Yeah, Crip Jesus. So I'm coming from South Central Los Angeles. I had a very I'll say interesting journey. Pretty different, right? So it's in the book, The Blue Bible, not just my story, but it's a breakdown of all the sciences I accumulated along the way. So just even coming out of the my area and my experience, I did 15 years in prison I was initiated through the 5%. Then I learned about the Moors. Then I proclaimed my nationality and went on from there. And I actually got to travel through the country dealing with different sciences. So all that's broken down. I also got a new book called The Black Indian Wars. So I took it from the streets to the temple to the pages. You feel what I'm saying? And I also like to dedicate tonight's episode, Rest in Power, to the Grand Mufti Jones L, you know what I mean, of Temple 80. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, you know what I mean? Well, however you want to look at it, maybe fortunately, he's on the soul plane now. You feel what I'm saying? So with that being said, though, yeah, I've just been, you know, doing my thing out here on the West Coast, touching down, zigging through the nation, tapping in, you know what I mean? And on my square, you know, my wings spread on my 7. So I'm happy to be here with you. I've been watching you from the cut for a while, especially when I started dealing with Crumb TV a few years back. And to be able to unlock the keys of the streets, I like to say, because there's a disconnect, you know, from the lower self and the higher self. You know, the prophet was all about bringing the unity, you know, and all honors to the prophet, all praises due to Allah, and all honors to the, you know, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who was all about uniting Asia, uniting higher self, lower self, uniting mind and body. And I see a disconnect going. I see a lot of, you know, fear being peddled towards our people, in a disconnect between militants and spirituality, strength, and those of us who may be about intelligence and conduct. It seems to be through the culture, they're dividing these things to where our youth are growing up believing that to have power or militants, they got to be, you know, down with being gangsters or hustlers. They see this as the route to power. And I see it a lot with a lot of our modes. You know what I'm saying? Just because you proclaim your nationality doesn't necessarily automatically change your reality, you know. So Crip Jesus was really about bringing it to my tribe's front door and letting them know this is what it is. This is why they hung Jesus, because he told them Islamism is the only way. You feel what I'm saying? Every other ism ain't doing it for you. Buddhism, Jesus, you know what I mean? All these different isms, Islamism, you know what I mean? So I just came to bring the message from my tribe to the nation. Like I said, there's certain keys that have been passed along, and then vice versa to my tribe from the nation of who they are and what's the healing power that, you know, bind them back to their forefathers and foremothers. So that's what the name is about. And then even etymologically, Crip, you know, there's no meaning of CRIP. So Crip etymologically is a crypt. It's where we would place our ancestors, like in a sepulcher or a tomb or a mausoleum, waiting for a resurrection, which can be seen as Jesus, justice, because that's what we're waiting to resurrect, right? Just us. So if you break down the etymology of it, then you understand that the Grand Sheikh Danifu Karim Bey actually wrote the Constitution, the original Constitution for, you know, Crip. Now he's a Grand Sheikh. He doesn't deal with that element, but there was a Constitution that he actually wrote to give a structure, and it was called, it wasn't, you know, they say Community Revolution Progress. It was Community Revolutionary Inter-Party Services. And I didn't know this. I grew up in South Central as a so-called Crip. Yeah, dead mentally, right? And I learned that from, you know, the Grand Sheikh Nathaniel Booth L, better known as Cosmo L. So the L has brought plenty light, not only to me, but to my tribe as well. So I'm just here to reflect and spread that light to all of us. You feel me? So Crip Jesus is really just about building a bridge between those of our people, our modes that's caught completely in the lower self, you know what I mean? And those of us that have found our way to the higher self, but have forgot that we still got to have boots on the ground. We still got to have militancy. We still got to, you know, none of us win until all of us win. That part. So it's just a remembrance of what the mission is. And with that being said, you know, Let's get
Yes, brother. Um, that was wonderful that
yeah.
you were able to see the connection, bring the connection, and that is. I was just in awe of what while you were talking because that is singing my tune. You know, and this is the problem that I've had with a lot of conscious Moors is they
Yeah.
don't do just that. They don't do it. So this would be great for those conscious Moors who have a disconnect. And so I have
And,
about 32 years of observation. And what I've seen with conscious Moors is that when they become conscious of their Moorish nationality,
mhm.
they disconnect, like they wall themselves off. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? If they are a member of the lodge, Masonic lodge, they
Well,
quit the lodge. They quit the lodge and say, "Well, the lodge is not teaching. You know, I ain't learning nothing in the lodge." They don't think of, oh, I can connect, I can learn, and I can bring this to the lodge or make some connection. They're not thinking that. Like they wall themselves all. They quit everything. They don't involve with. They don't want to deal with nothing black. No, you're saying you're black. Huh, I don't want to deal with you. You know what I mean? I quit all the organizations. I'm conscious now, and I've seen. I'm not exaggerating,
no,
my
you're
brothers and
100%
sisters.
right.
My
I
brothers and
actually want to
sisters,
add
I
on
am
to that
not
if you don't mind.
exaggerating. I don't
No,
exaggerate.
no, are you not? No, if you don't
You're
mind, I'd
right.
like to add on
I'm
to that.
and you can bear witness for that, brother Crip
I want to
Jesus.
add on to that, right?
Please
And
do. Please do.
I've seen that a lot, and it saddens me because to me, and I can't read on these brothers' mind, but to me, it's like a slave mentality where you want to have a group think thing, or you want to have something to follow, as opposed to learning that we are leaders. We meet up here to charge that battery up at the temple, and then we go out and teach. You feel what I'm saying? Now, the prophet left an example for us. He didn't just say it's just me. He gave us a bloodline to trace, so we can look back if we take the time to do it at the Moabites or the Almoravids or at the Moors that was in Portugal, Spain, or any of these places. Right? They were leaders. That's a fantasy to think because a kingdom was under a Moorish ruler that everyone there was, you know, adhered to the same thing and everyone dressed the same. That's not the reality. You get what I'm saying? Like you had certain Moorish territories where there was a bunch of Christians there, but they were still Moors. You know what I mean? So did this dude sit around slaughtering them all day because they said black or because they said Christ or no? So the real reality is when you put that crown on, you are taking the position of a leader, and a leader is merciful. You feel what I'm saying? He deals with his people. You know what I mean? And if you're going to be the head, and that basically assuming everything's under you, right? You have to deal with that. You know what I mean? But this is another thing. You see a lot with a problem in our household. People abusing their power. It's like if the woman and the child is supposed to be under your leadership, she ain't doing this, she ain't doing that. It's like all the complaining as opposed to just boots on the ground, getting it done. Like you said, we're supposed to be in these organizations representing. You feel me? Because everywhere I go, they take that with them. You get what I'm saying? Like even if I left the area and it wasn't what I thought it should be, everyone saw arm, leg, arm, head that moment. You know what I'm saying? Whether it was me with the turban and the thobe, whether it's me with the fez, and I'm, peace and love, brother and sister. Some people don't hear that for years. Where we come from, So you disconnect from that, you're not doing your duty. Your duty is to uplift fallen humanity. Humanity is fallen. How you gonna uplift what's lifted already? You trying to float on magic carpets? No, we ain't what we, you know what I'm saying? The prophet is stepping out of the cares of the world onto salvation. He still got 1 foot in the water, right? When he's holding humanity, lifting it up on the cover of the questionnaire. So it's like when you look at all the signs and symbols, this is a mission we signing up for. You know what I mean? To bind ourselves back to our forefathers and foremothers. It's an S on the end. You know what I mean? You can't just do it by yourself. You can go meditate and cut all you want to and zen up. It's not reality. Because even if it feels good, you haven't even fathomed what it's like. You know what I mean? To even the ideal of getting us on one accord.
Awesome, brother. Thank you. Thank you for that follow up. Really good. So we're gonna get you. We're gonna tell you. So what you'll do is you'll get started, and then I'll ask you I'll pause you and ask you a few questions
Yes,
as
sir.
you along the way. All right.
Mhm. So first thing I wanted to show was let me put this up here.
Uh-huh.
All right, can they hear me?
All right. Yes.
Okay,
You
so
yeah, you're good.
right
Mhm.
here in the book of Matthew, chapter 27, verse 16, right? At the time, they had a well-known prisoner whose name was Jesus Barabbas. So even with as much as we've studied through all these years about Jesus, then you wake up and realize there's another Jesus right here in your face, right? And he's a criminal in prison. So when you bring it back down to reality and let it cool down for a minute, you see what this story is really telling. It's really about status. It's really about they were trying to criminalize this man from birth, right? So right here in the Blue Bible, chapter 10, I wrote, Jesus was an outlaw at birth. His family fled their home to raise him. The Roman government considered them criminals. His followers were outlaws who proudly died as martyrs. They inspired the original mafia. And that's where it gets tricky. Because when you hear mafia, you know, you automatically think of Italians, right? But I wish I was a little more prepared. What quote is that? Quoting from the prophet, quotes of the prophet when he talks about the Italians having our blood, sharing our blood. But that doesn't mean they're us. So you have some Moors that might be lazy scholars just with, yeah, you're us. No, we see that they're proclaiming something different. But what is being done here? And why is black a dangerous word for understanding? Because what happens here is when I said original, what is the original? We know the mafia that comes from Sicily, right? We know mafia to be, you know, Sicilian people, Italian people, Catholics. We don't have to guess this. It's not a history lesson. We see them. So then what you have to understand is this is why, going back to what we were saying about a disconnect, because when you make something religious, that's not Islamism. So Islamism is getting to the science. This is when you hear about Moors being the top scientists and doctors and creators and building the top universities. This is when you get into the science of things, right? Where these words come from. So when it first came back into my consciousness, it was when you hear of the Black Mafia. So can you put the thing up there? I want to scroll through it. Can you put the yeah. So Black Mafia Family, as of lately, you know, you hear that, you think of was it Little Meech, the other guy, all of that. Then I've been hearing new rumors where they're talking about these dudes are telling all of this. It's all of this entertainment TV crap that we eat up based on criminalism. Like these dudes are really criminals, but it's still make believe TV. These dudes are obviously working with the government to even tell the story of them selling kilos of cocaine all around the country. This is more ways to not only either scare you away from the word or draw you in and corrupt it. But the first thing you can ask yourself, if we would keep it easy and simple and not have a disconnect, and we ask to the prophet, why is it a black on the front? Black is the science of death. So is this the dead mafia? Was it discontinued? Is it what's going on? Black as an adjective implies the original was not black, right? You would not put black on the front of something that like you don't ever heard of a black Rasta or black Zulu or black, right? Like you assume these things are already black, right? That's what you assume, right? This is the state of mind or black rapper. No. So this is what you think of. Now I know in the 5% Nation, they had a degree says, to make devil, what must you first do? To make devil, one must begin grafting from the original. So the mafia we see today in their devilish ways, you have to ask yourself, why would a group of people just have a whole family committed to crime and wreaking havoc? Lucky Luciano, architect of the American mafia. So why American? What is that different from? What's the mafia? The American mafia, commonly referred to in North America as the Italian American mafia. The mafia, or the mob, is highly organized Italian American criminal society and organized crime. What's all these slogans? What is it? See, this is what the prophet warned us about. When they putting all them slogans on there, Italian, American, North, something's not original here. Now, the first published account of what will become the mafia in the United States to happen in spring of 1869. The New Orleans Times paper reported that the city's second district had become overrun by well-known and notorious Sicilian murderers, counterfeiters, and burglars, who in the last month have formed a sort of general co-partnership or stock company for the plunder and disturbance of the city. Immigration. Okay, so we're dealing with Sicily. It says immigration from southern Italy to the Americas was primarily to Brazil and Argentina and New Orleans. This is a fact. If you get into your history of the mafia, North America, as far as with the Italian, Sicilian vendetta. Now you notice they keep saying Sicilian when they're in New Orleans, but then when they get to New York, they're saying Italian. Don't take that lightly. Don't just assume, oh yeah, it's the same thing. So here goes one of the first leaders. Now his nickname was Silver Dollar Sam. He was an Italian-American mob boss and boss of the New Orleans crime family. He transformed the New Orleans Black Hand gang into a Cosa Nostra crime family and acted as street boss from 1922 to 1944. He was the boss from 1944 until his deportation in 1947. Carollo was born June 17, 1896 in Terracini, Sicily, and immigrated to the United States in 1903. These are immigrants. These are people being allowed to come in and allowed to be in certain areas and bring crime, bring guns, bring drugs. And they're calling themselves a Sicilian mafia, an Italian mafia. Why all these titles? What is the original mafia? Where's the word mafia directly derived from? Mafir, the name of an Arab tribe that ruled Palermo. The local peasants imitated these Arabs, and as a result, the tribe's name entered the popular lexicon. The word mafia was then used to refer to the defenders of Palermo during the Sicilian Vespers against rule of Capetian House of Anjou on the 30th of March, 1282.
So what you're doing, let me stop you there, because I didn't know that. This is good, brother. You're definitely, you're making the Moorish connection. And so the title, again, Moorish History, the Black Mafia. So that's his title.
The
and so
Black
now we get
Mhm.
the Black Mafia tribe. Moorish History, the Black Mafia tribe is the title of your presentation. And you're giving us insight on the title. And you're definitely doing a great job in making that showing that Moorish connection. And then so if you're looking and you're very correct with the Sicilians, because the Sicilians are dark, they look like me and you. And
Well,
you
I
know
would even
more.
go as far as to say that they the same thing we see with the Muslim compared to the Muslim, the same thing we see with the Black compared to the Moorish, the same thing we see with the watered down compared to the original. You see what I'm saying? So now we think of mafia, we think of crime, we think of secrets, we think of scandal, we think of murder, we think of the lower self, not knowing that it comes from the higher self. And there was a family name that they took and criminalized and put their own twist on it. That's why they always got to put a label on it: Italian, Sicilian, their own mix.
Yeah. So, all right, go ahead.
So the name Mafia derived from the name of a tribe in Yemen, Sabah, led by Mafir bin Jafar bin Malik. So what I want to do is I want to go to my book, page 78, where it says, I'm gonna run it back. So Jesus was an outlaw at birth. His family fled their home to raise him. The Roman government considered them criminals. His followers were outlaws who proudly died as martyrs. They inspired the original mafia. So not outlaws like what we see with Tupac, like they want to get high all day and be late to everything and abuse their women and, and waste their money. They were outlaws because of their status. The same thing we do to ourselves with the word black. They were outlaws at birth, considered to the Roman government. Jesus is not an outlaw at birth considered to us, right? It's considered to the Roman government. That's why he had to go to Egypt. It was his demonstration that inspired the martyrs that came after him, leading to his works being fulfilled, as the prophet taught us, by Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him, and those that came after. So the original mafia were Muslims in Egypt. The word mafia is a translation of the name al-Mafir of the Mafiris. These particular Moors marched from Yemen, Sabah, to Egypt to expel the Romans out of Africa. Across the sea, they settled in Italy and ruled Sicily from 652 to 1071 AD. Once the Catholics conquered all of Italy, our names, styles, and culture were adopted and watered down. Hence, today, they have what they call mafias. Al-Mafir is a tribe in the Miklaf region in Yemen. The Mafiri lineage goes back to the great Mafir bin Jafar bin Malik and ends with Kalan bin Sabah. The Mafiris are from the Yemeni tribe called Al-Mafir, and they are from southwest Yemen. The ancient city of Al-Mafir, which they inhabited, was situated between Zabid and Hobidah government and Al-Jannat. We're talking land now. We're talking more than just dressing up. You feel what I'm saying? We're talking culture. We're talking bloodline. We're talking people that's there right now that we turn the blind eye to while they feeding us this drug and stripper and I want to be with the black mafia, big meat, all the fake stuff. Keeping the word corrupted, keeping the spells on us. People be thinking the Moors is exaggerating when they say the way that they spell these words are spells. Until we give you the science right here and show you just spelling the word differently, look what it gives you. Some Moorish history month.
But what you're also doing, Brother Crip Jesus, is you're giving us the original meaning, the original application and meaning of it. So if there is, because all it is just a sound shift, but you can have a sound shift but still maintain the history of it.
Yes.
So it's actually the distorted history.
Yes.
They've done it, just like I've told people about Friday the 13th, and they have a movie. Friday the character, the main character of the movie series, goes around killing. All right. So it's the distorted presentation. So you can have a shift, because when you're looking at a shift in as a word travels through different languages, it's going to shift. It's going to change its morphology, form, and also phonology, sound, because based on the phonetics of that particular language.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's not going to maintain if it shifts from Chaldean to Chaldean to Arabic, from Arabic to Hebrew, from Hebrew to Greek, from Greek to Latin, from Latin to French, from French to it's going to change its morphology.
But see, what you just broke down the size of, each time the morphology changes based on the region, that culture puts its own stain on it.
But because the history is lost, what happens is it can still maintain the history. So the history can still, that doesn't necessarily have to change the history. The history can still be preserved. This is intentional, though.
Exactly.
This isn't intentional, and there's many examples of what the Europeans have done and distorting the history and the culture so that they're actually burying, who we are. So as you know, that if one were to take a course in medieval studies, you wouldn't see pictures like this.
No.
If I'm taking a course in medieval studies, if I don't see pictures like this, then that's not a course in medieval studies.
Facts.
That's not a course in the Middle Ages. The course in medieval studies is showing pictures like this. The Moorish ruled Europe. The Moorish ruled Europe. All right, when they call the Middle Ages, that's from 700 to 1492. That's known as the Middle Ages or medieval period. So the only way to talk about the medieval period, you got to show pictures like this. Right. We are the rulers. There's a book, the S.B. Scott's book, three-part series, the history of the Moorish Empire in Europe.
And so it's not up our titles.
Absolutely.
They're putting filth on our titles.
And we're not just talking we're not talking Edward Scobie. We're not Edward Scobie. He'll present what's called an African presence. No, it's not a present. It's all right. There's a difference. There's a difference between rulership and a mere presence.
Come on
now. Come on, Edward Scobie. Come on, Edward Scobie.
A big difference than a presence in a rulership.
Come on, Edward Scobie.
A huge difference. So look, the name Al-Mafir, referring to the city and to the tribe, continued to be used until the 8th century Al-Hajj in reference to that land. Then it was replaced by the name Al-Hujariya, a large area in Taiz governorate today. So now it's just a town there, but there used to be that whole region, right? Now here I put a picture of the actual area so we can see it. So you can see Al-Hajara, right? You can see Al-Hudayed. So the land in the southern part of Taiz governorate, it is bordered by Al-Misrak to the north, Ash-Shamayatain to the south, Samea and Al-Mawasit to the east, and Jabal. Right? So, matter of fact, it's that right there with the well, I don't know if y'all can see my pointer, but the little red cut out in the middle, that's what's left of the town that actually holds the title still. But it used to be
that small area.
Yeah, that area, but that's a big area. You know, what I mean, it's a
Oh, I got you. I don't. Yeah, I cannot. I'm looking at the. I got
small. No, you're right. It's small compared to everything else. But I'm saying, that whole. I'm just saying, it's not fake. It's not a guy. It's not a story.
Of course, absolutely.
Somewhere.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's Al-Mafir district. You know, in Yemen. Yeah, it's real. Got a population and all that. Now, this goes to what you were just saying, my Moor. 652 to 1071. Now, that's not going to be the quote you get from everywhere. If we Google it right now, it may not say that. If we put how long were the Moors in Sicily, this is me researching, and this is me standing on my book, the Blue Bible. So if you go to page 78, I'll put this particular Moors marched from Yemen, Sabah, to Egypt to expel the Romans out of Africa. Across the sea, they settled in Italy and ruled Sicily from 652 to 1071 AD. So the first attacks on Sicily occurred in 652. My point of bringing that up is they would say, no, because I did extensive research, so they would say the Aghlabid dynasty in Tunisia, which I found from studying what the prophet says. He said, if you want to specifically figure it out with our bloodlines, look at Tunisia, Tripoli, Algiers, Morocco, etc. So around there, like Mali, Mauritania, Egypt. So coming from Egypt, they first attacked them under the Rashidun Caliphate of Uthman, and then that was in 652. Then there was a brother named Olympius, the Roman, came to Sicily to oust the invaders, but he failed. So after they took over, it wasn't until 1071 that the Norman house of Hauteville conquered Sicily and established the county of Sicily. You get what I'm saying? More like it wasn't even called Sicily until 1071. So these are the official marks. This marks the beginning of the Norman conquest of southern Italy. Hence the titles Italian Mafia, Sicilian Mafia, because prior to the Norman house even getting there is no Sicily or Italy in that region of Europe.
I got you.
Breaking down what you were just saying. You can't even teach this without that. You're lying blatantly. You can't convince us that you read all these books and didn't see that. Right. So they first came to Italy from Egypt. In 669, the second force of 200 ships from Alexandria attacked the island. They sacked Syracuse and returned to Egypt after a month of pillaging. This continued for centuries. So I'm not exaggerating when I'm bringing in Egypt. I know a lot of brothers like to get into the Egyptology and just drag Egypt into everything. It's not what we're doing here. We're giving you the actual titles. Because if I'm not mistaken, the prophet said to bring the divine creed, nationality, and title to the vast estate. So this is where we're going to line up each event with these al-Mafiris. So Tafir ibn Malik, a commander under Tariq ibn Zayed, who we hear about a lot, right? Tariq ibn Zayed went into the Europe in 711, who led the conquest of the Visigothic Hispania in 711. In July 710 CE, Tariq sent Tarif on a raid to test the southern coastline of Iberia, right? According to legend, he was aided by Julian, who had as a guide emissary. So the point is, Tarif ibn Malik name goes all the way back to Ibn al-Mafiri. So they were all around. The al-Mafiri held a presence in Sabah, Yemen, Egypt, Tunisia, Sicily, Spain, and Morocco. And this is why the prophet does not limit us to the title Africa. Because these particular Moors were in the Roman colony that they called Africa under their rulership. But that colony that they were actually calling Africa, they broke that spell. They ruled over that while also in Yemen, Egypt, Tunisia, Sicily, Spain, Morocco, and made love to each other. Plenty of amour going on. So these bloodlines are one and the same. So even trying to call it Egyptian or Yemen, that's not going to work. They're Moorish, and they were established as such during that entire time. And look, let's not forget these brothers were related to each other, right, Mo? So they would catch their ships back and forth to each other. They were in rulership position, as you said. So they would, their children would be involved with each other, all that. Second, third cousins marrying each other from island to island, land to land, all of that. Al-Mafir region appears in many ancient South Arabian inscriptions. So yeah, don't try to block this in. Don't try to make it a Sicilian thing. My bad for raising my voice, but I got to do it again. Don't try to make it a Sicilian thing. When you put the Moorish science to it, it proves it precedes its presence in Sicily. You can't lock it into that. That's the more of the TV American, well, I don't know, the corporation of USCN remix done to it, right? The oldest known inscription that mentions Al-Mafiri dates back to the 7th century BC. Y'all thought I was going to say 7th century AD. Y'all thought we was going to link it to Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him. No, this goes back before all that, y'all. This is real Moorish science, criminalized and put into a microwave to give you the Pop-Tart fast food version that we let our kids watch. So that's why I had to write a whole chapter on it. The inscription describes Crip il-Ratar's attack on the cities of Al-Mafiri during his campaign against Al-San. Caribbean al-Attar destroyed and burned the cities of Al-Mafir, killing 3,000. They had cities. This was a whole region. Look, they left artifacts behind. I ain't write this chapter for nothing. Now, hold on. Because this chapter has to do with the brainwashing, the television. So, Al-Mafir was known for his cloaks and garments, which are called Al-Mafiri. Now, don't you find that interesting more? Because you see how much the gangster element amongst us Moors take their dressing, right?
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes.
a Mafiri garment was brought to Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him, and Abu Sufyan said, "May Allah curse this fabric and who made it." And Muhammad responded by saying, "Don't curse them, the Mafiri people. I am one of them, and they are part of me." That's deep. So let me go into the book a little bit. Page 79 of the Blue Bible. It says, "I first heard of the Black Mafia when I was 15 years old. I had ran away from home and was living in a trap house on Adams Boulevard and West Boulevard, Crip's neighborhood. This was before the rapper Young Jeezy and the word trap were popular. The homies kept telling us stories about their cousins in Atlanta. The stories sounded crazy. We had all seen gangster movies, but never heard or saw the things they were describing. While I was in prison, rappers from Atlanta described the same stories I heard from the homies in their music. When the FBI raided houses across America with indictments for the Black Mafia family in 2005, the stories were confirmed. They became part of music, television, and literature. The Atlanta rapper Gucci Mane's murder case put BMF all over the media. According to his lawyer, Gucci Mane was acting in self-defense because he had been targeted by Young Jeezy and BMF. The publicity of a potential trial made everyone involved famous. All this was the murky waters being used to drown me away from this true understanding, this pure Moorish understanding of my militants and my bloodline being the rulership position over Europe during the Middle Ages and having the actual names. I'm having the name, like the brother said, the sound shift is being used as a spell on me to corrupt me from my own heritage. This is why it's imperative that we expose our children to this science. We don't just keep it to ourselves. We go in the room and close the door and we're deep quietly with our YouTube videos. No, get the literature, get involved, come to the events, tap in. The machines should be being used by us to connect further. They shouldn't be the end all be all. So let me keep going. While I was incarcerated, I learned that the head of BMF was from Detroit. Big Meech was the man responsible for transforming Atlanta into the center of the BMF network. Growing up in South Central LA, the gang mentality was very local. It wasn't until I spent time traveling through America that I met members of the Black Mafia family in New York, Las Vegas, and Atlanta. When I was a child, the most popular name in the underworld was Scarface. It began as the nickname of the Italian mobster Al Capone from Chicago. It entered global pop culture via the movie Scarface about a Cuban drug dealer named Tony Montana, played by Al Pacino. See all the remixing? He knows both their names is Al. It's not a mistake. It's not a mistake at all. This is the game they play. They are literally disrespecting and dirtying up the Moorish sciences like they did with Christianity, which was another form of Moorish science. It entered.
You got it.
Come on. It became a permanent name in hip hop because of the rapper Scarface from Houston. I can't count the number of men I met in the streets called Scarface, Montana, Capone, or Tony. When I received my prison number, the most popular American gangster alive was John Gotti of the Gambino crime family. When I discharged my prison number, the most popular gangster was Big Meech of BMF. I made powerful friends with powerful ties in prison. Not one of them ever mentioned BMF. To be honest, it's a fairly new organization. They are best known for music videos, television shows, and bragging about smuggling drugs on the internet. They had little resemblance to Italy's La Cosa Nostra or Japan's Yakuza. The organization that the U.S. government labeled the Black Mafia was a society of Muslim families centered in Philadelphia. I first read about them in Sean Patrick Griffin's Black Brothers Incorporated, The Violent Rise and Fall of Philadelphia's Black Mafia, published in 2007. The book was very popular amongst my friends in prison. The first homie to give it to me was Face from Garden Block Crip in Sacramento, California. The second homie was my student, King 7 Allah, from Southside Compton Crip. According to the author, the so-called Black Mafia, see how they dirty it up, was created by Sam Christian in Philadelphia at the Nation of Islam's Temple 12. Even the infamous Frank Matthews, Black Caesar of Harlem, answered to Sam Christian, who called himself Solomon Bey. Bey, these are all people who are aware of the Moorish signs being hidden in their little tomfoolery they playing. So they calling themselves Black Mafia in Philly. They at least Muslims. But you see it gets more and more watered down. Page 82, Blue Bible says, history says that Sam Christian organized the Black Mafia in 1968. My story, because history is his story, but mystery is my story. My story says the relationship between Philadelphia and the Black underworld stretches back to the days of the Underground Railroad. In 1849, the famous Harriet Tubman was smuggled to Philadelphia, where she received a new name and a red turban to represent her status as a free Moor in a society of smugglers, gun runners, and warriors engaged in conflict with the United States. That's what's being hidden to you with the Black Mafia of Philly. Sam Christian and them knew what was up. That's why he called himself Solomon Bey. He knew what was going on there. He knew in Philly that they only had certain laws they could use against them when they pledged their Moorish nationality. He knew about what was written in the House Resolution 75, 1933. But do y'all know? And we're not going to be the ones that conceal the truth. We're going to reveal the truth in the light for you. Okay, all right. Hold on, brother. So this is taking it back. If we take it all the way back, before Harriet Tubman, where did this begin? So we brought it from before Muhammad to now. Caliph Abu Bakr al-Sadiq sent a message to the people of Yemen, inviting them to the jihad, to war against the Romans, and to participate in the Levant conquest during the May, 12 years after Hajj, in 633. And so the Mafiris marched with others under the leadership of Dhul Qila al-Hamiri until they reached Medina. From there, they headed to the Levant. Then they went to Egypt. So nothing I wrote is exaggerated. They marched, they walked. And look on the map right there. These places are not far like you think. They went right from Yemen up to Medina, then to Egypt in the Levant. During the conquest of Egypt in 639, some Mafiris took on leadership positions in Amir ibn al-Alas campaign to conquer the land, including Malik bin Abdul Malik al-Mafiri and Obaid bin Amir al-Mafiri. Some notable figures participated in mapping the city of Fustat, which is now Cairo. They lived near the mosque of Amir ibn al-Alas. So these are real dudes. These are some important people. This is our history. And it goes back to what the brother said. I can't repeat it again enough. You can't tell these stories without putting this in there. That means a lot of these people that we trust to feed our children the knowledge are purposely holding these things back. It's how that don't fit my agenda. Let me take that out. Let me pick that up out of there. Asama ibn Amir al-Mafiri ruled Egypt in 785. It was only for some months. He ruled again in 792 for some months under the Abbasid Empire. So we made it all the way to rulership position in Egypt as al-Mafiris. These were not just foot soldiers. These were not just, little criminal dudes that go and handle some business for the boss. These are the bosses. And they're dirtying up our titles. I hope y'all know that. They have our children thinking that this sound shift represents murder and carnage and debauchery. Especially with the movies and the cartoons and the TV shows. Oh, they dirtied up our titles so bad. But they left a hint for us by calling it Italian or Sicilian. Why isn't it not the original? So as a leading member of the Egyptian Wuju, the Arab elite who dominated local affairs in the province during the early Islamic era, an early mention of him, this is, what was his brother's name? Asama ibn Amir al-Mafiri. An early mention of him occurs during the revolt of Muhammad, the pure soul, in 762, 763, when, according to one version of the events, he was arrested and sent to Iraq for having helped Muhammad's son Ali hide from the government authorities. So these are the ones. Remember, Muhammad said, "I am them and they are me." They're actually helping hide the family of the prophet, peace and blessings upon him. They're hiding the al-Bayt, which is us, the El and the Bays, right? The al-Bayt. This is the Moorish bloodline from its beginning. That's why when they landed in Sicily, they hurry up and came and dirtied it up. Not because they just wanted to corrupt it, on not that reason too, but they are corrupt. They took it on like a cloak. They wanted to wear it. Oh, we're the mafia. Yeah, mafia. Yeah, us. Ooh. But now, like the brother said, now it's being done intentionally for the sound shift to keep a negative energy attached to that, like they did with Nigas and Nagas, like they did with Jesus. Okay, they helped Ali hide from the government authorities before eventually being released by the Caliph al-Mahdi and allowed to return to Egypt. Despite his imprisonment, he remained in high standing in the province, and in following years, he repeatedly served as Sahib al-Shurta, or chief of the Egyptian security forces. Now, with the killing of the governor Musa ibn Musab al-Khatami in 785, Asama took over his position. This is when he became the ruler. He took over the position and he assumed command of the campaign to seize back the control of Egypt from the rebel Diya ibn Musab. That's him right there. It's the rebel. Upon learning that Diya's lieutenant Yusuf ibn Nasir al-Tulun. So you see the war between the Saracens and the Ishmaelites, or what we now call the Berbers and the Arabs, or you want to say the Moors and the, the non-original. You see this struggle going on from the jump. So you see the wordplay that they use now is not only just play. Muslim versus Muslim, they recognize the difference, whether you do or not. And they actually respect us more when we ride our plane and not try to ride theirs. They know who they are. So upon learning that Diya's lieutenant Yusuf ibn Nasir al-Tujibi was preparing to assault the capital, Fusta, the new governor sent his brother Bakar to meet the insurgents in battle. The resulting encounter, however, proved to be a draw after Yusuf and Bakar killed each other in single combat. These are the defenders of the faith. These are the defenders of the bloodline. Which Moors are we talking about, man? Are we talking about the fantasy? Or are we talking about the real deal here, man? Let's get to it. So Fusta, y'all heard me mention this city a few times, right? It keeps coming up dealing with these al-Mafiris in Egypt. It was the first capital of Egypt under Muslim rule, before all the names you hearing now, before where they moved the city later. The original. So it's not just about the name being, this name sounds flyer than this name, or this name went back to Egypt and Africa before Sicily. This name actually contains a lot of the Islamism that's missing from the non-fat baby back Islam of the day. We get that they feeding you on the documentaries and the YouTube and all the crap. Come get your Moorish science. So the first capital of Egypt under Muslim rule in the historical center of modern Cairo. It was built adjacent to what is now known as Old Cairo by the Rashidun Muslim general Amir ibn Alas immediately after the Muslim conquest of Egypt in 641. And it featured the Mosque of Amir, the first mosque built in Egypt. This is major history here, y'all. Clap our hands for being the good Mafiris, the ones that left something honorable behind, because they've been dirtying up the name right now. Now, Fustat remained the capital of Egypt for approximately 500 years. After the city's founding in 641, its authority was uninterrupted until 750, when the Abbasid dynasty staged a revolt under the Umayyads. This conflict was focused not in Egypt, but elsewhere in the Arab world. When the Abbasids gained power, they moved various capitals to more controllable areas. They had established the center of their caliphate in Baghdad, moving the capital from its previous Umayyad location in Damascus. Similar moves were made throughout the new dynasty. In Egypt, they moved the capital from Fustat. So that's what's left over today. You see the leftover. So we have many lands all over the place. They're not all just occupied. You know, sometimes we know when we get off our square with the Moorish signs, we get to buying into the word black and white. We get all the black lands are occupied by the white, and you just make it too plain and simple. When we get back to our divine creed, our nationalities, and the titles to our vast estates, we see it's plain and simple. Now, during the 9th century, the 800s, the Al-Mafiri ruled in the land known as Ifriqiya in the Arabic tongue, Africa in the Roman tongue. I'm not talking about the continent. I'm talking about the place. This is why that name is dangerous. That name is not from Scipio Africanus, as a lot of people falsely accuse. Scipio Africanus was given that name because he was recognized as an African. It was a Roman title for a colony they had in what's now today Tunisia, Algeria, Libya area. So the dynasty, the bloodline, was named the Aglabid. Aglabid, the ID on the end is like ik or n. This is Aglabad, was the person that they descended from. The Aglabid dynasty ruled Ifriqiya under the Abbasid. In the midst of civil war, they were united by a man named Zayadat Allah the First, who ruled from 817 to 838 as the first military to conquer Sicily, their common Christian enemy. This is a lot of saucy history we don't want to miss right here. Zayadat Allah the First conquest marked a new era of the Aghlabids, which is why Zayadat is sometimes described as the second founder of the Aghlabid regime. His solving of the June and Berber issue that had faced all emirs preceding him set the region on a new path of a more stable ruling family. The conquest saw Sicily under Aghlabid rule until the Fatimids overthrew. So until we had our own, the Fatimids is another internal struggle. So it was our own internal struggles. As a whole, we always conquered and ruled to the point that they claim a lot of our titles. You'd be surprised. A Roman military leader named Euphemius of Sicily was on the run from Emperor Michel and sailed to Ifriqiya to beg Zayadat Allah for help. This is what sparked the Muslim conquest of Sicily. So don't blame us. We wasn't on no conquer, destroy. One of them came to us begging. It's the same thing that happened in 7-11. Matter of fact, let's go to the Blue Bible right now. Hold on. Page 45. It says, in 711 AD, King Roderick of Spain was accused of, assaulting sexually Count Julian's daughter. The Count appealed to Musa ibn Nasir, governor of Ifriqiya, who sent Tariq ibn Zaid to judge and rule. Together, the two Moors took the Iberian Peninsula back from the Christians of the West. So it's the same area, Ifriqiya. So they flipped our whole existence. Ifriqiya used to be the region in the Metzum that was assigned to govern over the Europeans. Now they govern over a Metzum, calling them the Africans. See how they flipped it in reverse? So at this time, when they were having trouble up in the European colony, because there ain't nothing but a peninsula on top of Africa, when they got to acting up, the same thing happened in 711. It happened again in 827. Euphemius got on this boat, sailed over to Ifriqiya, and begged Zayadat Allah for help. Because the foul things those dark age Gothic Christian leaders were doing over there. And we sailed over there just like Tariq ibn Zaid and laid down the law, because we're all law. All law.
They go back, Crip, Jesus, because they see here, I think you pointed this out, Africa, the linguistical connection to Ifriqiya and the form Africa. So you have Africa, that form, AFRICA, and you have Ifriqiya, IFRIQUIYAH.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, so we're looking at the linguistical connection
Mm-hmm.
in form as well as in which is morphology, and as well as in phonology, which is sound. Do y'all see? Just want to put that out for the viewing audience.
Mm-hmm. And then, mind you, like you said, the Moorish science, I got that from studying specifically where the prophet said to look. You know what I mean? I've been studying for years, but when he said, man, put emphasis on Tunisia, Tripoli, Algiers, Morocco, etc. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What I start seeing is when you look at our experience through those years, you start finding all these type of things. And that's why what you said, that so-called dark ages, middle ages period, that
Yep.
everyone who
Mm-hmm.
studies from a European perspective, they say, oh, wasn't nothing going on then.
Oh
You find
yeah,
out the
yeah.
golden ages of Islam.
Yes. This is good, brother. I said I heard a lot about you over the years. My boy Rob would tell me about you, and I like who's Crip Jesus, and I mean I still mention that to you. But
I'm honored to be here.
I'm so glad I reached out to you, brother. Man, this is spot on, brother.
It's
This
all
is
love. I'm honored to be here. So here goes the Comune di Palermo, because this was one of their this was like their headquarters. So as to be expected, let's not be goofy. So when they went to this area, they have children, they stay there for a while, so they get their own name over here as well. So you have many titles. So the Calabids were a Muslim Arab dynasty in the island of Sicily, which ruled from 948 to 1053. Why way in 948? So what you'll realize is going back to when the attack started from Egypt, it said they continued for centuries. So it wasn't until about 200-300 years of the attacks and settlements over and over and over again that we had an actual dynasty and bloodline locked in there. Like it was what it was. That's why when they came there, they couldn't even change their name. They start being proud to be Mafia. Even though they're not the original Mafia. You know what I'm saying? They still like, oh, they know the prestige of the title.
the prestige. You just read my
Yeah.
mind. The prestige of the title. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why today, let's draw that connection now, even to the ancient Arabic order of the nobles of the mystic shrine. And you
Islam.
have the mystic order, the veiled prophet, the chanted realm. They use Moorish names. So there's there's over 206 shrine temples in the world. That's the ancient, that's the European Shriners International. Then you have the Prince Hall. You have the Prince Hall Shriners, which is the ancient Egyptian Arabic order of the nobles of the mixed shrine. That's the Prince Hall. That's the brothers established in 1890. Then you have the ancient Arabic order of the nobles of the Mystic Shrine, now known as Shriners International. That's the Europeans, established in 1860 by Walter Fleming. You have the Mystic Order of the Veiled Prophet of the Chanted Realm, established in 1880s and by Fairburn and Hamilton, New York. And there's 150 of them, and they wear the black fez. They use what's called the Marcana. They have wear red turban and horns. Red turban, that's called the Marcana, and they're also known as the grottos. So there's a relationship in the words. Grotto by etymology. Grotto and shrine. Grotto means cave, all right? And shrine means bookcase. So a grotto would be like within the cave you would have a shrine. Like you would enshrine someone into a grotto or cave, right? You'll have a statue of someone that you enshrine. You'll see a lot of them in the mountains of Java and China, Japan, to Vietnam, Cambodia, right in the cave. They're called grottos. So they're similar to a shrine. You're enshrining. You're enshrining. That's what the Europeans have done. So they've taken our names. All right, and as you said, this is that you're making the direct connection of what they're doing today and what they did back then.
No, exactly. And see, what's even cold, if you ask me, is how you see right here, right? A whole other dynasty got established, right? So because they were coming from a bloodline of a family. Those were not imperial titles, those were actual lineage titles. That's why we can find so much evidence of it, right? So when the remember we just read about how they switched over from the Umayyad to the Abbasid. It did another flip to the Fatimid empire. So the point I'm trying to make is the Al-Mafiri bloodlines ruled there no matter what title it was under. See what I'm saying? So that's why that title had the as far as the land is concerned. You know what I'm saying? As far as the culture and how they dressed and how they spoke and how they conduct themselves. So that's why they got like I think that's one of the things people admire about what they, because we know none of us are part of it, but what we hear about the mafia and where I'm showing that it's actually an Islamic thing. They're family ties. See what I'm saying? Everybody admires them. Oh, where'd they get that from? The Sicily, they're all about family. Like, no, they're all about murder. They got that from the Moors. You see what I'm saying? And the point is not just to make fun of them and say they dirty. I'm saying that's what we need to get back to. When we're admiring that, we need to understand that's our core principles. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. I got a little more. So, yeah, my point is to show that these are the truths behind the lies, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Can you put it back on the screen? So the Calabids were a Muslim Arab dynasty. Okay, so basically, this dynasty was placed there by the Fatimids, or I can't say placed there, but approved, or whatever, right? By the Fatimids. Now, what you understand is the Fatimids were of the direct bloodline of the Prophet, peace be upon them, and they were official, but they got into it with everybody because they were Shia and they were direct of Ali. The Al-Mafiris, you know, at the end of the day, you know, they're down. They were from the beginning, but they're before Muhammad, peace be upon him. So they're from a bloodline that precedes that. And this is why the Prophet told us to maintain our nationality as Moors, because it's deeper than just boxing it into a religion. So this is why they were Sunni, not because they were just religious and stick by the Sunnah. They weren't Shia. They weren't of Ali bloodline. They've been there already. So the Sunni population of the island was replenished following sectarian rebellions across North Africa from 943 to 947 against the Fatimid harsh religious policies. So that's why I just gave y'all that background. Everything switched up in the late 900s, leading to several waves of refugees fleeing to Sicily in an attempt. There we go. The Qasir, the palace, which we get the word castle from, is the center of Palermo until today, with the Great Friday Mosque at the site of the later Roman cathedral. The suburb of Al-Khalisa contained the Sultan's palace, baths, a mosque, government offices, and a private prison. Ibn Hawqal reckoned 7,000 individual butchers trading in 150 shops. The population of the city during this period is predicted to be going all the way to, we talking numbers of like 350,000, right? So these were major centers. These is not just a ragtag couple families. Oh, I found a name or something in a book. This is real. So if you look, this is a map in Italy. This is the, I want to say this is the, yeah. So this is in the mainland, east of Bosco, Panaro, north of Macoli Pirelli, south of San Libertor, west of Piano Capel. You see the city Medina. You see what I'm saying? So we had a Sultan there. We built a Medina there. like it was all over the place. We had another Medina right here. Very small place. Only 99 people there. This is my point, too, about why we need to notice more signs. Why we buying land, not knowing we got land sitting empty waiting for us. We have lands with our titles on them all around the world that have populations of almost nothing. People just holding them down saying, hey, When y'all finally figure out who y'all is, we right here. Medina is located in the region of Campania. Campania's capital, Naples, is approximately 53 kilometers, 33 miles away from Medina as the crowd files. The distance from Medina to Italy's capital, Rome, is approximately 211 kilometers, which is 131 miles. Right? They made it all the way up by Rome. So by the 11th century, so once we start having all that internal conflict between the Fatimids, which were the Shia under Ali and the originals, and all, the 11th century came, which is the thousands, when Egypt and the Shias and the Fatimids really got in power. So it was a big division between the Berbers and the Arabs, and and they took advantage of that. So by 11th century, you had Norman, southern Italy started hiring Norman mercenaries who were Christian descendants of the Vikings. The Holy Crusaders. It said they were Christian descendants of the Vikings. It don't stop. What the prophet say? Who was with me today? They were with me before. They were with me 2,000 years ago. We are the descendants of the Moors, and they are descendants of the Viking Christian. They're just claiming our titles now, though. So we don't know who we is. We just say, oh, we black. I don't know. We the black mafia. No, we the mafia. We the original. We the Moorish. So who became Roger the First of Sicily? He captured Sicily. All right. He was sent and backed up by the knights. Roger the First of Sicily. He fought in the Battle of Misumeri in 1068. Roger defeated Prince Ayub, and the prince fled back to Africa. Then you had the siege of Palermo in 1072. Roger's brother Robert helped him take Palermo after a 5-month siege. So they had to get help, y'all. This is when all the different Christian nations came together. The different pale-skinned nations of Europe came together to attack us. Okay? Now, after Sicily, they settled in Malta. Okay? So this is important. It's several islands under Italy, if you really want to know how it all fell apart. So you have Old City, then you have no notable cities, fortified city, right? So in northern region of Malta, which served as the island's former capital from antiquity to the medieval period, right? So this is Medina. This is a different Medina. They built different Medinas. Then you got another town called Rabat. That's a famous city in Morocco, if I'm not mistaken. I've never been to Morocco, not yet, but the country of, I'm in Morocco right here, don't get twisted, state of mind. But I'm saying this is Rabat and Medina on this island right here, and what we now think is Italy. Pay attention. A natural redoubt, the area, the city has been inhabited since prehistory. It's a Phoenician colony known as An, was established around the 8th century BC, sharing its name with the island and presumably acting as its capital during the Punic Wars. The town was acquired by the Romans and renamed Melita. Malta. So Malta, oh, that's why we went back to Malta. This is an ancient Phoenician capital. We've been there. That's why the prophet said more ish. It's so deep and extensive when you get to the lands and the titles and everything he aimed us at. After the massacre, the town was empty. In 870, the Aghlabids besieged the Byzantine city of Milet, or was now called Malta, which is now the site of Medina, Malta. The siege lasted for weeks or months, and the inhabitants were massacred after the city fell. The churches were looted, and the marble from them was used to build the castle of Sosi in Tunisia. Okay? So all Muslim Sicilians were exiled. You got 1224, when Frederick II, the Holy Roman Emperor, expelled all Muslims from Sicily. 1249, Frederick II expelled the Muslims from Malta. 1300, Christian forces under Charles II of Naples sacked Lucera and exiled or expelled the Muslim inhabitants. This was sparked by an incident in Palermo that quickly spread to the majority of Sicily. Within 6 weeks, approximately 13,000 French men and women were slain, and the government of Charles lost control of the island. Seeking support for the rebellion, the Sicilians offered the throne to Peter III of Aragon, who claimed the crown. So after all those attempts, they still couldn't control us. So this is when you had the War of the Sicilian Vespers. They had to get Peter III of Aragon. Peter III of Aragon, I don't know if y'all up on that famous flag with the cross and the 4 Moor heads chopped off. Peter III of Aragon is supposed to be the one responsible for that 4th head. Peter III of Aragon, if I'm not mistaken, ran up in not Granada, but before Granada they had, I might have stepped out a little more, but Peter III of Aragon was for sure a major with the Knights Templar in expelling the Moors out of what's now known as Spain and Portugal for years. You know, I wish I could just recall the territories right off top, but I'm going so deep with this one. So the point is, they recruited him to over here. They said, man, we keep getting trouble out of these mafias. This is the whole point of the mafia being secret, being outlaws. It was during this era that they gained that reputation. And this is what you see the dark-skinned Sicilians embrace, because they actually have these bloodlines in them, where they were Christian, but they were like how the Moriscos are, you know, just basically suppressing their Islamism, but holding on to pieces and parts of it. The event takes its name from the insurgents which began at the start of Vespers, the sunset prayer marking the beginning of the night vigil, Easter Monday, the Church of the Holy Spirit just outside Palermo. Peter III of Aragon shows up after the exile and before the Almoravids ruled in Spain while Sicily was falling. Yeah. Big in Spain as well, while Sicily was falling. Okay. So this goes again to what I was saying. Do not try to box them in. That's why I said from Yemen to Egypt to Sicily. And they ruled all through the Moorish lands. That's why the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him, himself said, I am them and they are me. These were some of the custodians of the original culture. But it was during that time in Sicily that became known as outlaws and secretive. And that's what's been rebranded and re-fed back to you. So let's continue them getting exiled from Sicily in the secret bloodline that stayed, converting to Catholicism, becoming watered down. Let's use the Islamism to follow it as it continued in Spain and, you know, northwest of Mexico. So Abu Amir Muhammad ibn Abdullah ibn Amir al-Mafiri, nicknamed al-Mansur. He was it says Muslim Arab Andalusi. So you see why the prophet says, no, They're gonna run you with that every time. Many of our brothers and sisters will look this up and never think he's one of us. It said he's Muslim Arab Andalusi, right? This is why you understand a Moorish Muslim, because through the science of that sound shift, you will understand that any so-called Arab in Andalusia is a Moorish land. We call that area of what they now call Spain and Portugal Al-Andalus. Not for any reason. If I'm not mistaken, it has something to do with the name Vandals, because that's who ruled it at the time. And that's who they used to go up there and enslave. Now, Al-Andalusi, anybody that was speaking the Arabic tongue in Al-Andalus at the time were Moors. So they weren't Muslim, they were Muslim, Moorish Andalusians, whose military leader and statesman was his brother Abu Amir al-Mansur, who was an al-Mafiri. He was the chancellor of the Caliphate of Cordoba and the chamberlain for Caliph Hisham II. But as with many of our bloodlines, internal conflict, as well as external conflict, as well as mixing in bloodlines. In 997, the Magura leader in Africa, Atia, renounced his allegiance to the Cordoba. In response, Al-Mansur dispatched Wadi al-Siklabi. Now, Siklabi is how you say like Slav. So this was his slave, a Slavic man. But you could be a warrior, though. We didn't treat you like that. But that's where the name actually comes from. governor of Central March to Africa at the head of a large family. He then sent his son to reinforce Wadi. The two commanders defeated Zuri, captured Fez, and established Cordoban rule throughout all of Morocco and even into the central North Africa. Abd al-Malik was appointed governor of Africa. Come on, y'all. If that's not some Moorish history for you, but they're going to have you looking at a gangster movie. See the spell they put on you with the misspell? So here goes our brother Abdul Malik, originally called Saif al-Dawla, later al-Musaffar or al-Musafir, was the second Umayyad ruler of Al-Andalus, ruling from 1002 until his death. So these are directly Moors. These are the brothers ruling in Al-Andalus during the Middle Ages. Like the brother said, like Abdullah Bey said, you can't even tell these stories without these right pictures and these right understandings. You're lying to yourself. So like his father and predecessor, Al-Mansur, he was an actual power behind the Caliph of Cordoba. The 7-year government of Al-Masfir was a period of peace and prosperity. Later, historians likened it to Sabi al-Arus, the first 7 days of marriage, and recalled it as a golden age before the Andalusian fitna, civil wars, began in 1009. So the Al-Mafiri actually held Andalus down for some of its best years before it had the fitna and eternal war that would tear it apart. His major books, an author as well. Come on, y'all. His major books, commentary on Tirmidhi's Hadith collection, commentary on the Quran, known as Ahkam al-Quran, Defense Against Disaster, his history book that became famous for his strong reply against the Shia. These are not only top scholars, these are top historians. And we're having all this held back from us by a sound shift that's being used as a spell on your brain that'll keep you like, don't even want to look at this. Right? Now, this castle was built in the 9th century and rebuilt in the 15th century. And according to legends, inside the castle, which is now completely restored, there was an Arabic citadel where Al-Mansur was buried after being defeated and killed in the Battle of Caltanazor in 1002. Man, bro. And this is in Morocco, I believe. Now you have Abdul Rahman al-Mahdi, known as Sachu, was the Hajib of the Caliphate of Cordoba under Caliph Hisham II from October 10,008. So this is the next in line. At a time when actual power in the Caliphate was vested in the Hajib, the Caliph nominated him as a heir a month later, but he was deposed by a coup the following February. He was killed some weeks later during a vain attempt to regain power. Though an unpopular and highly flawed leader, his deposition led to the disintegration of the Caliphate. Sanchuelo was born in Cordoba, the son of the Hajib al-Manzur, and converted to Christianity, to the Christian named Abda. Oh, no. Pardon self. He was the son of the Hajib al-Manzur and a converted Christian named Abda. His mother was a converted Christian, but she was the daughter of a famous Christian leader who he's named after. That's where he gets the name Sanchuelo. She was a daughter of Sanchuelo of Pamplona, like originally named Urraca of Sancha. He was nicknamed Sancho, the diminutive of Sancho, after his Christian grandfather. His father had elevated the role of Hajib, once an adversary role, to become the de facto leader of the Cordoba Caliphate, setting up his own court, taking charge of the armies, and sequestering Caliph Hisham II from the public in near captivity. Sanchuelo would have been raised at his father's residence of Al-Zahiri. All right. Now, this is the fall. Now, due to his irreligiousness and incompetence, I would say Christian influence, along with the prospect of the caliphate passing out of the hands of the North Arab Umayyad dynasty and instead be invested in the representatives of the South Arab Mafiris, who was also a grandson of the hated Pamplona king, led Cordoba's middle class and the general populace to oppose his status as crown prince, though he retained the support of the well-paid, mostly Berber and Slav army. Okay? So even though they were both Muslim, or they were both Mohammedans, I should say, the northern Arabs under the Umayyad did not like the idea of the Mafiris or anybody of their bloodline having power down here in the south. They didn't like the real Arabs, the originals. Sanchualo, oh my bad, well, I already know where he was born. He was half Christian. After his disappearance, Hisham II was used as a symbol of legitimacy by the Taifa kings. Some even claim he was alive and crowned him. Sanchuano was deposed in 4 months by Abdul Rahman III, and the Cordoba Caliphate split into pieces. So when it split into pieces, everybody that had a piece would say, oh, I was crowned by Hashim II. He's still alive. Oh, he crowned me before he died. And all of that. Because they had their own caliphate at that point, and they couldn't get along. Abu Muhammad Abd al-Malik ibn Hashim ibn Ayyub al-Hirami, known as Ibn Hashim, 9th century historian and scholar. He grew up in Iraq and later moved to Egypt. He was originally born in Old Cairo. He gained a name as a scholar in Egypt. His family belonged to the Banu Mafiri tribe of Saba, Yemen. These are not just warriors. These are not just rulers. These are the bloodlines. This is one of the most popular bloodlines of the Moors. The fall of the Al-Mafiri. However, in 1091, when Al-Andalus was taken over by the Almoravids, Ibn al-Arabi, then 16 years old, and his father decided to leave with the less turbulent setting. The two Al-Arabis traveled by ship to Egypt, and from there they traveled to Jerusalem, where they stayed from 1093 to 1096. After leaving Jerusalem in 1096, both Al-Arabis traveled to Damascus and Baghdad to study. They settled in Baghdad and returned there after they took pilgrimage. While in Jerusalem, Ibn al-Arabi was fascinated by all of the scholars he met there, and performing the Hajj became an element in his quest for knowledge. It was only when he returned to Baghdad in 1097 that Ibn al-Arabi finally met Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, an Islamic theologian, philosopher, and Sufi mystic. Ibn al-Arabi studied with him, beginning at the age of 21. Mausoleum of Abu Bakr ibn al-Arabi in Fez. So their culture, their bloodline is like in every part of the, I want to point out, we're still at barely a year 1000. This is before the Turks. You see what I'm saying? This is before the Turks have converted and joined on to Islam. This is the real foundation. This is why I believe they press so hard to suppress this. This is all the roots of the linguistics, the stories, the hadiths. These are the people that put it together. And these are the people that have been used now to dirty it up and filthy it up. Because this is what our children think of when they hear mafia. And even if you say, no, they were Moors, or black mafia, think you mean them. Right? So like you said, the sound shift. And think about it, he would love the music. Lucifer, music. I mean, it's all over the place, man, but it's right in your face. You know? So Alfonso Gabriel Capone, sometimes known by the nickname Scarface, was an American gangster and businessman who attained notoriety during the Prohibition era as the co-founder and boss of the Chicago outfit from 1925 to 1931. Now, the Prophet made our Mecca Chicago and published, it was already there, but he published it for everybody in 27. This is when they decided to make Chicago the headquarters. Come on, man. They always right next door dirtying something up. And you see what they do to Chicago still today. We still got Chicago as a strong point of Islam, but they still working so hard, you know, putting so many guns there, so much drugs, so much carnage. They're always in our Moorish cities stirring up the pot. The Chicago outfit, the Chicago mafia, the Chicago mob. Notice theirs always have to have a word on the front as an adjective. Italian mafia, Sicilian mafia, Chicago, because they're not the original. Feel me? Murder Incorporated, a super disgusting dirtying up of the title. Organized crime group active from 1929 to 1941 that acted as the enforcement arm of the National Crime Syndicate, a closely connected criminal organization that included and was started by the Irish mob and included Italian mob. And this is why the titles are so important, because you think Italian because you watch the movies, but it really was a concerted effort by many of what the prophet called pale-skinned nations of Europe. Irish mob, Jewish mob, Italian mob. I've even personally met Russian mob, all of that here in LA. They all use the science of the Al-Mafiri to their own benefit against us, the creators of the science. And now you have us imitating the imitators. So now we have enslaved our own selves with the names because we're putting black mafia. You get what I'm saying? We're putting black on the front of something that's already watered down that came from us. We're imitating the imitation. So Black Brothers Inc. is where I first saw it. So as you see, they were calling themselves Black Mafia. So I don't know how deep they understood the roots, but you see what they end up getting in trouble for. So when you get into the watered down and into the sound switch, this is when you encounter the problems, like you were saying, because you're dealing with I think you said the culture they put onto it. That's what actually dirties it up, the stain of their culture onto it. So now you've adopted it back with its stains on it. It's colored now, it's dyed. That's why you're calling it Black Mafia. Right? But here's what I liked about it, though. Understanding the connection between not losing the disconnect, right? They connected with this. They used it to help Bumpy Johnson because the Italians was taking over their neighborhood. They used it to help Muhammad Ali when the Italians was finna take his check. You know what I mean? They used it for many different services of Moors. But if we want to see it used for us as a whole, we need to do like the prophet said and go to the roots, right? Because we've been going already for an hour and a half of me just going through, as the prophet said, Tunis, Tripoli, Algiers, Morocco, etc., meaning look around it. Egypt, Yemen, you know what I'm saying? Mauritania, Morocco, and you'll see, right? So going to the Blue Bible, and I'll start to wrap it up. What does this word mean in its usage? Even as they've dirtied it up, they've still corrupted your usage of it. This is why grammar is so important. As the brother was talking about the sound shift. The sound shift has made it for criminality. But because it represents something admired and strong, they still don't want us to use it. So it's like Black Mafia. So you don't realize when they're talking about slaves and telling you got assaulted sexually and you barely know how to speak and all of that, a lot of these groups they're making fun of and putting these false stories on were quote unquote Black mafias. They were people that were stateless, that had their titles ripped away, that were underground. You know what I'm saying? So his story says Sam Christian organized the Black Mafia in 1968. My story says the relationship between Philadelphia and the Black underworld stretches back to the days of the Underground Railroad. In 1849, the famous Harriet Tubman was smuggled to Philadelphia, where she received a new name and a red turban to represent her status as a free Moor in a society of smugglers, gun runners, and warriors engaged in conflict with the United States. Another example is the Ben Ishmael tribe. This group of Moors accepted runaway slaves, outlaws, widows, and orphans. They smuggled fugitives and contraband through Kentucky. Their families settled all over the Midwest, especially Detroit and Chicago. To support the claims made on this page, I reference Nathaniel Duch's Inventing America's Worst Family, Eugenics, Islam, and the Rise and Fall of the Tribe of Ishmael, published in 2009. So understand, when you're looking at this illustrious picture, according to their definition, they were outlawed. And this is why you got to stop asking us silly questions. Does that Moorish stuff work? What do you mean, does it work? Does being a slave work? Does being a misnomer work? You show me where the Indian, like where's the tribe called Indian? Where's the city called ancient Egypt? These are descriptive terms because they trying to outlaw who you really are. So together, it can't be outlawed. We are not illegal. So this is the fear you see amongst your people. Oh man, don't get to talking like that. They're gonna come and get you. Yeah, because once they were able to separate us from the original, they made these titles illegal. Sure did. So the question is, do we let the devil continue his dance? Or do we pick it up from here? Because that's the real reason I wrote that chapter. That chapter was wrote to inspire, inshallah, millions to join with me on the battle to fix that sound shift. Because I think that could be used as part of healing and recombining the disconnect between the lower self and the higher self, the militants and the brilliance.
You know, yes, absolutely. And as you were doing this, I was thinking, and we might want to alter the title of this presentation, or make a connection with the our mafia and mafia, the modern form and the older form, and make that connection in the title, in the book, in the lecture, in the flyer, in the make that connection. It has to be where they read it in the title. So I'll do that. All right, I'll do that, and then I'll now that I know, I know what to do.
All is well. And I really just appreciate even showing up. So let me go a little further. And I'll leave you the link and all that to put in the, I don't know if you put in the description or whatever, but I'll leave the link to the joint so they can check it out if they want to. The blue Bible.
Absolutely.
Now right here, I go deeper. So how do I explain this? The Ogeechee River in Georgia was the headquarters for another society. So we just talked about the groups in Philadelphia, the Ben Ishmael tribe in the Midwest. So now let's go down to the southeast, like what would be today Georgia. So the Ogeechee River in Georgia was the headquarters for another society known as Gullah Geechee. I, Crip Jesus, King El Allah, am a descendant of the Gullah Geechee. Okay. My family name is not a slave name. It is a French name passed down to us from the Geechee. So these groups that they're considering outlaws were here already. But why are they considered outlaws? Because you keep thinking slave and master instead of war. It will all make sense to us fast if we start understanding war. If the America's at war with the Spanish, they consider anybody Spanish, anybody speaking Spanish, any mortal, illegal. If you got guns that you got from the Spanish, your Spanish compadres, that's illegal to them. If you got a home and it's under the Spanish protectorate and you're not honoring them and what they say on that land because they wanted to be theirs, they're going to consider it illegal. They're going to consider you illegal. But we know that this is the whole point of the quote unquote war. It's a mental conflict because state is not a place. The land is the place. The state is what's going on in your mind. It's the people there and how they conduct themselves and the rules and the laws. So the state of being at this time under the U.S. is to say all of this, how we're living, is illegal. Right? So all my life, I was told our French name was Creole, But my grandfather explained to me that his mother was Creole, not his father. His story says the Gullah Geechee, which is his story, says the Gullah Geechee are descendants of African slaves. My story says my great-grandfather was a child of the Gaul. This is the name of the original people of West Europe. You have Gaelic, Gael, right? The people of Gaul are children of the Egyptian princess Merit Aten, daughter of Pharaoh Akhenaton. After the fall of Tutankhamun, her family sailed to Portugal. The name Portugal means port of Gaul or port of the Gala. And we go on and on and on. But the point is, all of these names, all of these ways of thinking, all of these connections, even the concept of you being on a ship, free, independent, you actually having a Scalabi with you as your servant, that's illegal to even think like that. But it's actual and factual. So this is why the Blue Bible, I've been printing them up myself, right? Now I have a version that's going to Amazon, but I wanted to make sure all this information gets out to the people before I die, because as we've seen in today's episode, this is stuff that can't be denied. It just has to be presented to our children. That's it. And it'll go on forever back into our bloodlines. This is what's waiting to be put back in our DNA. This is what the prophet prescribed for us. You know, you got dudes looking up stuff in China, trying to put that in their kids' DNA. And ain't nothing wrong with that, but we all over the place. You feel what I'm saying? One thing about the beauty of what I've been working on is the goal is by the end of this year, have 7 books. I got this one, I got the Black Indian Wars, but they're all based on what the prophet is showing us, like from those, you know what I'm saying? Ships coming from Mauritania and Morocco in 800 and 900, documented in Arabic. You know what I mean? Like I talk about in the Black Indian Wars, when I'm breaking down how, if you understand what the prophet is showing us, it's deeper than just picking a side. You see that fight today, like, are you African? Or I'm not African, I'm this. It's understanding the imperial title that connected us to the dominion of India, Africa, and Europe, which include the Americas. You see? So when we get to that, through these specific titles and taking time to break them all down and return them back to our DNA and our way of speech and our way of conduct and our diets and even the places that we visit. You think about this more. How much money do our people waste visiting these places that really have little bit to do with it, or small and tiny compared to, you know what I mean? Like when the Moorish name Muhammad Ali was given to the boxer, he had already traveled as Cassius Clay. You see how he was treated? Just the title alone. That Moorish title, Muhammad Ali, man, that was a famous Turk. The Moors, like Muhammad Ali was known for wearing fezzes all the time. He's famous. Killer. Defended Egypt for a long time. With that name, when he went through the East, through the Muslim lands, they treated him like a living God. Like a thought of Allah manifested in human flesh, based off the name. And like the more explained, based off the vibration that comes from the name. They're not hearing the name for the first time. There's a vibration that goes with that name. So when they heard it, they're like, oh. See? So the point of this episode was to show you that don't give up on your pan-sagging, thugged out cousin. Maybe you just ain't gave him back that bloodline that belongs to him. Maybe he got some of that warrior up in him. He got to know what he really, really is. I mean, that's why I wrote this for. You know what I'm saying? Some of our people just need to know who they really, really is. And some of us are running from that. Some of us don't believe. Let's be real. As smart as we are, some of us don't believe to even look in these directions because it's like, oh, I want to know about some mafia for. You get what I'm saying? Because they dirtied up the title already. Like me with Christian in Jesus. I had to go to the Moorish Science Temple to go back and study and learn about the Coptics and really appreciate the Rastas and all of that. Because probably I'm like, I don't want to hear nothing about Jesus or Christianity or none of that. You have to get an understanding, though. You have to stand under it long enough before you start talking about you overstand it. That part. But peace to the divine family. I hope I really broke it down.
Oh, this was awesome, brother. Thank you. This was awesome. Do we have any questions? one or two, three questions.
Yes, yes.
If that's, and now we can close out. But this is, I greatly appreciate this, brother,
I appreciate you having
and
me.
I'm definitely I'm glad I did reach out to you. Awesome presentation.
Appreciate that. Yes, sir.
You know, and I'll say, I'll make the, what I'll do before I put that, shift the title, because we want to make that connection to the modern form and to the older form. Make
You
that
can just add
connection.
your name on there, like Black Mafia Tribe, Al Mafiri, or something. You know,
I'm in fear or something like that. Yes, to show that, but we want to make the show. Yeah, exactly. Show the connection, that where they got it from. It's absolutely. So that's what I'll do. We have a question here. Where can we find you, Elder, on that international law vibe?
you talking to me or you?
I guess. Are you talk? I guess it's me, right? Because international law vibe, that's me.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's me. Mooresandmasonry.org. The Moroccan Post, School of Government International Law, YouTube page, Telegram page, Abdullah Bey Facebook page. Because I'm the international law vibe. You know what I mean? Not too many conscious Moors know more international law than I do.
Facts.
So I'm just keeping it real. All right. Where study more? Where can we find the Blue Bible and the other book for the people watching? That's for you.
Okay, so I will leave the website. I'm gonna give you the website more. Hopefully, I mean, inshallah. I already know you are. Just put it in the description, whatever. But also, you know, I'm very much against the machine, and I don't like the way that we have all this technology and everybody's like it's so hard to find each other. So I'm gonna put my number right here. And if you're not scared, you can text my phone. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You can just text my phone. I can send you the book literally right now in the morning when the post office opened up. We don't gotta play no games. If you want to buy it next week, you just want to chop it up, we can chop it up. I'm not
all right, that's his number. All right.
I'm not living on Mars. I'm not, you know what I mean? But I will leave the website. You can purchase it on the website. And for those who do go to the website, if you go to checkout and it says PayPal, don't worry about that. Just click it and it'll give you an option to buy it with your debit card or credit card.
That's all right.
Mm-hmm. But if you want to just text me, though, go and hit me up.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even have your number, man. See, hold on. You gave, hey man, I see, hey. I now got your number. I wouldn't connect. You know what? Put that back. That number. So
Okay.
text me. I see. Message your. You know. All right. There we go. I got you.
All right.
Because I've been connecting with you on Messenger.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Good. Any other questions? This was very good. You know I'm gonna do, man. I just man, when I get a hold of something like that, that understanding, that connection, that mafia, how you broke that down, I'm like on it like a dog like a bone, brother. I'm gonna give you ups, man. Much ups with that.
You know, that's why I waited so long, because I was like, man, I gotta come with something different for the more. You know, he one of them ones. He been, ain't too much under the sun new for him. You know, so I gotta come with something different. I said, okay.
Well, this was new for me.
The prophet lead me. What month is it?
Well, this was new for me, though. This was new to me. I didn't know that. I didn't know that connection. I did not know, and I didn't even think of. Yeah, that was good, brother. I appreciate that.
I was watching the whole time. I'm looking through everything. Like, I was like, man, he got everything. What can I say? I said, Abdullah Bey got everybody. I said, all these channels you've been going for years. I said, what do I got in the bag, man? I said, I gotta pull something out. It's February. I gotta pull something out. So I said,
this is good.
And that was the presentation I had. Where, like, it was got extensive history. You know what I mean? Albert L. Text my phone right now, Albert L. Don't be scared. We gonna leave the website.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Albert L. Get his number. Yeah, we know Albert. Yeah. He's been with us for a couple of years.
We're gonna get it cracking right now. But
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a couple of posts, man. Give you a shout out with making that connection. I'm doing with posts and reels, mafia. Yeah. So I'm allowed to do a lot of things with that. And so you'll see it. I'll tag you.
I'm just so glad, the prophet led me to that one, because I was really, You know, when people reach out to me, it touches me. You know what I mean? Because considering where I came from, ain't no point of glamorizing all of that. But just being here
Hey,
now,
brother.
and when they reach out, I'm like, I want to give them what they asked for. I don't want to come playing. I don't want, you know what I mean? If you said, nah, give me that hot, I'm like, I'm gonna come. You know what I mean? I'm gonna bring it. You know.
Absolutely.
So that was one of them ones I spent probably no lie like a year. Like I did it like a year ago when I first wrote the book. I wrote that book about a year and a half. That came out.
You getting some love, brother. Study more. You giving some love with every. Yeah, I'm just. The sister gave you love, or set.
Islam.
She gave you love with hearts. Yeah, you getting the love, brother.
Yeah, I see a couple people just text me too. So we're gonna get on it, man. And like, it's all about spreading this information out for our kids, for our babies, because think about it like this, Mo. My father was the first person who told me what a Moor is. But guess what? My father wants nothing to do with this. Right? So you never know what you're giving birth to. It's not to diss him. I love him. I'm saying the fact of he planted that seed, whether he wants something to do with it or not. You get what I'm saying? The thought of Allah manifested in human flesh. You feel what I'm saying? So as long as we put these vibrations, as you said, we create the sound shift. Because even if you just enlighten your child about this in a random car drive, every time they hear Mafia in that sick, twisted world, it's going to remind them of that. You see what I'm saying? They could even impress their friends like, did you know?
That's a good way, man. That is a good way to connect with the younger people, man, with the youth and the young adults. That word Mafia, that connection, because you're connecting that is a way in which you can introduce them into Moorish history with the word Mafia. So this is excellent. Do you just, brother? We gotta do.
Get it.
I got something. Let me do I'm gonna do an outline for you and present it, because this is big, man. I'm serious. This is I just how my mind works, bro. This is huge. This is huge because that is a way we can connect with a lot of young people with this, man. With the word. Yes, it is. Absolutely. You got something going on, bro. I'm telling you, you do.
Hey, that's just one chapter. We got many, but I'm excited, Mo. I already know we got a future we're gonna build, man. I got
absolutely
joints. Yeah.
Yep. Yes. They need this. See? Yep. See? Absolutely. Trust we push forward. Absolutely. Absolutely. Peace, everyone. Thank you for giving the brother love, man. Absolutely.
Islam. It's all love.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you for giving him love.
Yeah. So
I appreciate y'all.
Can't stop, won't stop. Like I said, I'm very much into that, and ever since the Moor showed me etymology, man, it's been a ball. You know, and me coming from the hip hop world, which a lot of us are in, it helped wake me up because I'm very influenced by words and their vibrations.
That's what I'm talking about. You can connect. Yes, that's exactly. And like you said, as you mentioned, and your introduction, boots on the ground. You making that connection. And that is what is needed. And this is what I'm saying about these a lot of these conscious Moors is that they get so high sedity and you know what I mean, so self-righteous, and you know they're saying black. Oh, well, nothing to do with. See, they're saying they're black. I'm not exaggerating. I'm really not. I'm not exaggerating, Crip Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I hear it all the time. I'm with you. Yeah, they go crazy. They be about
yes, they do.
They kill another Moors and say black. I'm like, man, were you just saying black last year? It was Mr. Black Power 2 years ago.
Oh my God. That's what I'm saying, man. It's just they forgot where they came from, man. And that's so I definitely appreciate that, man. That you brought that to the forefront, man. That was awesome.
Islam study more. We need your kind though. You know what I mean? You keep them reminded. It's got to be a balance. That's all.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
We need your kind too, though. We need to let them know that we're not playing. You know.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. So since there aren't any more questions, we're gonna close. We have five star pop. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Brother King L Bay, my man. Good show. Brother King L Bay.
King L Bay, my twin. Islam.
All right, good. So, all right, thank y'all. Appreciate y'all. Once again, my website, mooresandmasonry.org. Go get my books. Go to mooresandmasonry.org. Close us out, Crip Jesus, with a good word of wisdom.
Yes. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my guide and my salvation, by night and by day, now and forever, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Ra. Peace, everyone.